all of the divisiveness in the world today, is it more than there's ever been, or are we just noticing it more?
I think divisiveness was always there. But I think it might have expanded a little more nowadays. But it was there, but then we didn't have internet, so we didn't come to know about it. It is also partly, yes. But I think it might have increased a little.
And how do we overcome the divisiveness when people are seemingly attacking each other? How do you not feel attacked?
I think this unity should start with us, not through external reformation. External reformation is necessary, like in India, for instance. If there is a red light, there's always a policeman around, otherwise we might just close our eyes and drive off. So enforcement, something is necessary, I agree, we need to have. But the real thing can happen, unity can happen only when the mind changes. It has to start here. So if I change and I feel this unity deep down in myself, saying that the same self occupies everybody else's heart, if I begin to understand that, that goes a long way in bringing about change. So I'm saying the change should start here. While external changes and reformations are necessary, they're not the whole solution for this. The solution should come from within. If one man changes, I think many can change, but genuinely change. I look at it this way, that forget about soul, Brahman, reality, Atman, everything. Let's look at common facts, normal facts. Actually, we are all one. You know how? We have roughly the same kind of ambitions. We have anger in us, we have a love in us, we have hatred in us, we have jealousy in us. Everyone has it. The object of your anger may be different from the object of my anger, but we all have one common factor, anger. You may be jealous of something, I may be jealous of, I'm not, I may be jealous of something else, right? But the jealousy is a common factor. I may love something, you may love something else, but love is a common factor. Same way. So if it is a common factor, I'm saying maybe it's all one mind, which is expressing itself from different points. So if it is, suppose, speculatively, if it is one mind, we are one humanity, because we have common factors, then it's quite reasonable to think that if there is a change happening in one end, it may be reflected to the other end. Well, it happens in negative ways too. One leader who is, I'm not referring to anybody, please. One person who is closed, who is not open, let's say, who has ideas which are detrimental to human progress in general. Suppose there is one person. Now, that person can influence a number of people, even simply by his presence. We know the World War II. One person. And a strong person. And a man with conviction. Wrong, of course. In retrospect, we know it was wrong. But so, thousands of people were influenced by it. It also helps if you have a band and a trumpet and a march and a uniform. That's why in our school there is no uniform. We don't like it. Then you come together. It's like a tribe. So I'm saying if that is possible, why can't goodness also be possible? If there's one good man, one good person, can influence thousands of people. Only thing is the good is little more difficult than the negative, because that happens easily. This is a little difficult. So if we say that let me change, forget about the world, sorry. I'll drink, I don't need really. Thank you. Then, I think we can change the world. The great Swami Vivekananda said, give me 5 people, like-minded people, I can change the world. Just before he passed away, a few months before, he said, I couldn't even find one. So this is possible.
Thank you. What is your definition of God? What is our connection to God as you define it?
My definitions of God have no relevance. I may define God in my own way. It has no relevance actually, because there are many definitions. I would say that when I say God, I'm thinking of a universal principle which is behind all the differences that we see, which is one, in which is no divisions, and which is equal for all human beings. This is my concept. Not even the creator or any such thing, because I believe in evolution. World has evolved. There is a built-in intelligence in organic matter which has brought about this evolution. So there don't need to be somebody sitting down and you think every human being is made in a workshop and thrown down. Which world are we living in? So for me, God means goodness and universal principle. The essence of life which is experienced when our hearts and minds have become quiet and tranquil and loving. That being who is also part of us, I call God. I think this is God according to me. I may be wrong. Like we just discussed the story of the elephant.
What's the name of the script of the 12 states that you started? 12? 12? Did you say there were 12 states? Wake,
12 verses, yeah. Oh, I said there is a small Upanishad which has only 12 verses.
12 verses.
Yeah, so what is...
Mandukya.
What's the name of the script of the 12 states? Not 12 states. I said there is a small Upanishad, a text, which has only 12, we call it slokas. What shall we? Verses, 12 verses, which talk about the 3 states and the 4th, which is the witness of all 3. It's not that there are 12 states. It's called the Mandukya Upanishad. Fortunately, it's available now. All these are available in English translations, so it's much more easier, because even in India, people have forgotten this ancient language. I don't know why they think of it as anything connected with religion. It's an ancient, rich language in which mathematics, astronomy, medical books, so many things were written. Now, unfortunately, few people know it, the language. In fact, if you are a scholar in Sanskrit, it's a disqualification now. You don't get any job. I'm serious. A man came to me and said he doesn't have a job. I said, why? Because he said, I'm a Sanskrit Pandit. I said, I'll give you a job. I need a Sanskrit teacher. It's such a beautiful language. And please don't consider it as a Hindu language. It has no denominations. It's an ancient language. It's a rich language. And I think it's interesting. In the university in Bonn, in Germany, there are 2 chairs for Sanskrit. And both chairs are occupied by Germans. Where are the universities in India where we have even 2 chairs for Sanskrit? And who is occupying it? So, I think I'm not a nationalist that way, but And this is a language, it's a rich language. It doesn't matter where it came from. I think it should be studied. I'm saying this because we have English translations available now. So you should have a couple of more translations and look at all of them, because it may be interpreted in different ways, but they can't escape the truth. The basic would be there. Or you can go on to Google and search it. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. In the modern world, the biggest God with the biggest G is Google. Because he is omniscient. You can get all information. It may be wrong sometimes, but...
You had a teacher, a guru, a master. Can one make true spiritual progress without a guru?
Thinking with that. I think it's difficult. It's a little difficult. But I wouldn't rule it out. It's possible. It's possible. There have been cases of people who have just... but it's tough. It's good to have somebody who has already walked on this largely unexplored territory, so that you don't fall into pitfalls and move forward. It's good that somebody guides you. But unfortunately, I always tell people it's better not to have a guru than to fall into the hands of a wrong guru. When your whole life has been spent and when you're about to rest in peace, you're all agitated. You don't know what to do, and all your money has also been taken away. Ashram has been built. So one has to be very careful with this matter. But I think there are many textbooks available for us as guides, so better to go that way. And if you really find a serious teacher, someone who you... then it's a good idea to link with that person. But don't fall for somebody suddenly by looking at a person. Live with a person for some time before taking a decision. Because a person may be very attractive, but there may not be this stuff inside. Or a person may look like an idiot, but he may be having great... You never know. In this matter, it's very tricky. But I personally believe that, this is my personal belief, that if a person is seriously seeking something spiritual, then somehow or the other he'll find the right person. It may not be somebody spectacular, but you find it right. Since we are on this subject, can I take 2 minutes to tell you a little story? Or, it's a Sufi story. That's the last of the book.
Oh, there are many questions. It's just...
I think we need to wind up at some point.
We have one more.
So, this is a Sufi story actually. It's from Sufi sources. There was this man who used to live... Sufi stories always have a Middle Eastern background scenario. It could be anywhere else. So, there was this man who... when he was very young, as a child, he was very poor. Very poor. And he wanted to become rich, therefore. But he also had, deep down, earning for spiritual fulfillment, for spiritual development. But in his desire for becoming rich, the other desire got submerged. So he put all his energy into it and became a rich man. Now, in the Middle Eastern context, when you become a rich man, which means you're a merchant with many caravans, that's what it means. So he became a big man. When he turned 55, he said to himself, hey, I think it's about time I went back to my spiritual pursuit. Because now I have everything that money can buy, and I haven't been able to buy happiness. So I need to look back at this little spark which I had when I was a child. Perhaps it can be flamed into a fire again. So he gave up all his possessions, kept just enough money to have a small little, we call it kutir in India, a hut. HUT hut, a small little cabin, let's say, in the oasis, in that country where there are mostly deserts. An oasis is the best place to live in with water and so on. So he got a little cabin in the oasis, and then all these years, while he was trying to become rich, he still had his interest in spiritual matters. So he had collected a lot of books. He had a big library, so he took all his books. And he said, now I have stopped all other activities. I'm going to study my books before it gets too late, before I grow old and blind. Let me go through this, and probably I'll figure out how to get out of this. Now, having been a rich man for a long time, especially in the Middle East and in India and so on, not here, there are 5 or 6 people who are around you who make everything for you, including a cup of tea. So you even forget how to make a cup of tea. I do. I can make a cup of tea. So he also needed somebody to cook for him. He needed food. So he went to the village and found somebody who was a good cook and took him along. So here he was in this cabin with his books, with good food available because there was a cook, and he was studying his books, and he spent 7 years studying his books. At the end of 7 years, it occurred to him that this what I am seeking probably needs a teacher. It's not. There are so many views, so many books, so many practices. Probably I need a guide. It took him 7 years. Then he said, let me look for a guide. So he came out and started searching in the deserts, in the caves. And then he saw a vulnerable looking man coming. You know what vulnerable means in spiritual terms or religious? Flowing beard, turban in the head, green, rosaries, and a beautiful, charming face, smiling. There was a man coming. He went to him and said, I think you are a great spiritual being. Can you please accept me as your disciple? And the man said, just a minute, 2 points. First, how do you know that I'm a great spiritual teacher? Do I look like? How do spiritual teachers look? Okay, that's 1 point. The second is, you seem to be a sincere guy. I don't mind guiding you, but I have a problem. What's the problem? He said, because I can't take you as my disciple without asking my teacher, my guru, my master. Well, in the story, it's my sheikh. He said, then why don't you ask your master and take me as your disciple? I'm very keen, I'm very sincere. He said, no, that's the problem. It's 7 years since my master disappeared. I don't know where he is. If I find him, and when I find him, I will ask him, and then I will take you as my disciple. Because I'm sure you're a sincere guy. So this guy said, so where is he? He said, I'm searching for him. I haven't found him. He said, okay. 2 people searching for a person is better than 1, right? So can you describe your master to me, and both of us can start searching for him. So he said, well, he's a short man, and he doesn't wear any garments above the waist. He just wears something like a loincloth, and he usually has a towel thrown on his right shoulder. And he's an excellent cook. So this guy said, he said, wait a minute. Now say that again. So he said, okay. He said, sir, can you please come with me to my house? Because your description seems to fit my cook. So he said, sure. So they went there. And as soon as they went, the kitchen door opened and the cook came out with a towel on his right shoulder. And this vulnerable looking man fell flat, prostrated before him, and said, oh, my master, where have you been? He said, I was here 7 years with this guy. He said, but he is still searching for a teacher. He said, yeah, it took me 7 years to convince him that he needed a teacher. Right. So then he said, now you take care of him because I have other work to do, and walked away from that. I don't know, this is a Sufi story, like a Zen koan. It has many meanings. I leave it to you to decide. Because we have our preconceived ideas. If that is not there, this is not a guru.
I think that's the best place to end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.